All righty, and we'll go back over here and let's see. I'm going to hide this floating control and we're good to go. All righty, everybody. What we need to do first of all is take a look at what's due this week, just to repeat that, and then we will we'll go from there. So hang on here and let's go down to week 13. And we're going to look at Access Database Case 6. Now, as I mentioned before, these two databases, 12 and 13, are part of what is 6. And then I have an old case file that I want to show you. And just so that you kind of get it, I think I talked a little bit about this the other day, just in terms of where things are. And let me pull this up here. One chapters 12, 13. So let's go down here in this part. And chapter 12 talks about putting a password in a database. It also talks about using a database splitter. And that is just simply what you do with a splitter is you essentially take a mirror image of the tables and you can put them, say, on another machine and or on the same desktop, whatever. But the whole idea is that you change the as you change the tables, then on the other end, you can do an application, you can do queries and so forth, but you can't change the tables. That's pretty much what happens anyway with any what I would call what we would call an online analytical processing system, or a database that's on the web, or a e-commerce store, or anything like that. So it's going to cover some of those topics. Some of them are they're the performance enhancer. These are things as chapters 12 and 13 are really more for the database manager or database administrator. As people who are going to be leading a business or part of a business someday, you need to be aware of this so that it doesn't escape you, that we have a way to look at this stuff. And I guess the main thing is that you kind of understand that that we've got some ways to distribute databases. Although, let me say this, the chapter talking about, and that's the distributing data, and that's over in chapter 13. So let me grab that. And that's about distributing data and working more efficiently with it, like making sure the indexes work and all that. That's stuff that really is the purview of a database administrator or the IT department, or both, depending on the size and type of the organization. But the bottom line is those two chapters they're good reads for you to have. It's nice stuff for you to be aware of. But the truth is that with cloud applications, like, say, Canvas is a cloud-based application that is meant to promote collaboration and working together. And the folks who created it then saw the growth of online business and said, online education, and said, let's take the Canvas and let's alter it a little bit so that it's has a grade book and etc. And so there you go. So chapters 12 and 13 are of some use for you. They're nice for you it's nice information. You ought to take a look at it. And Garden chapter 12 and 13, those Garden 12 and 13, those two databases are loaded over there. The thing that I think is more important is to kind of finish this off by looking at Access Database Case 6. And I want to take you through an old case of mine that we had. And by the way, let me see here. And we've got a few of us, and don't forget, if you know, I know that people, you shouldn't have you really should have your video and you should have your microphone and your video off. And that's just something I do. You notice you never see me in here. I don't do that. It's security and privacy and a whole lot of different other things. But all that being said, if you have a question, you can raise your hand, and I have a chat function here, and then I can try to answer your question. And this, I think, also helps if you're reluctant in class to say something or to ask a question, then you could do that and do it anonymously, because nobody can see it except for me. So let me hide this floating meeting controls again, and we're going to go up to the welcome section of Canvas, and we're going to take a look at that case. It's going to be ACCDB 6 done. Now, like I said before, I wanted you to know about, and I do want you to review chapters 12 and 13, but just brush over them, because it's really, it's beyond what we want to do in this course. And it's really more, like I said, it's really meant for a database manager or database administrator. So I'm not sure. It's just good for you to see it and have some background, but frankly, we're not going to be doing that. There's no need for us, for example, to distribute access files, because we have OneDrive. Some of you may use Google Drive. You may have a cloud-based application of some type that you use where you store things, or, as is in the case of Office 365, it's web-based. You can go in and use Word or Outlook, all that business. And everybody has that thing. You have the calendar and all that stuff. So in some senses, that's a part of the book that, in my mind, probably needs some heavy revision. It was very relevant when it was written, but things have changed so quickly that most of it is just not going to be that pertinent. It's nice for you to see it. The VMware, which I've reminded you of, which we have used, and we did in 1103, and then I showed it to you again, and we really used it during the pandemic. VMware is a cloud-based application. Here's what it is. It's called an emulator. And what it does is it takes your machine and your desktop and pretends that it's a Windows system, okay? And so that's why if you have a Mac and you use the VMware, you can get in and use Access. You can use a full Monty Excel. That's what VMware is for. Now, it's not perfect. Okay. And it takes some getting used to, and for it to really work well, you have to have heavy doses of bandwidth, which we just don't have, except maybe in the evenings or late at night. Nonetheless, here's that case, and it involved a company called Uber Audio, AUDIO. They're the music business. And so you can so for this week, you can upload Garden 12, Garden 13, or ACCDB 6, or if you want, you could upload all three of them. I don't care. What I do care about is that in the comments, which all of you are doing some great stuff, and it's good for you, it's good reflection, and it helps me kind of see what you're getting, are the comments about the assignments, okay? So we're going to download ACCDB 6 done, if you will, and we're going to take a look at some more queries and some more creation of tables, that type of thing, and I think it will be of some use for you. Now, we've learned about forms, and you notice that when this opened up, there's a form, and this is like a little menu, and you can press on any one of these. What these really are right here are macros, and then they've done some really nice web design to make a little button there that you press and it executes the code. And so this thing is, you know, you want to add a customer, you click on that, exit the system. You can read it faster than I can tell you, but this thing is attached. This form is scheduled to open up, and I'll show you. I'm going to close this, and if you go over to the file, and I think it's going to be under the options. And let's see here. Current database. Yeah, you'll see right here where it says when it opens the design, pardon me, the display form called the main menu. Okay, you could designate any other form that you have, and you can bury a link in it and go to another part of the database, whatever. We've shown you that. In fact, we did a little bit of that in 1103, but that's the deal. And here again, this is a form, okay? And like I said, you can go in and look at the Lambert text, and it will give you step by step on this. And really what you're doing is you've got some macros that you've recorded, and then you've assigned those objects, just like we did with the when we did the case where we're doing the sorts and filters for that supplier. If you look down here, you're going to see the macros for show the full mailing list. Here's the add the customers, add the company, and there's some more executable code in there that will, you know, that will let you exit the system. So those are things you can just press on and you'll see what it does. And that's not too different than what you see in a different scale. If you go to any website, that's going to be the case. So it's built for you to navigate through it. So I want to let you see it. And you'll notice here now, this is add a new company customer, which means you're going to be impacting the customer table. Then you want to add a new company that's going to impact the company table, and you'll see here's the case, and then it's got some code for them, and produce a complete mailing list. And then if you want, you can click that and it will exit the system. It'll shut down access. So this is, like I said before, this is 10 years ago was, you know, pretty cutting edge stuff. Today it's, you know, everybody has these or does these. And one of the reasons, again, like I showed you, I think it's doing macros in Excel to me is a lot easier than trying to do it in Access, although both are intuitive, but the Excel is much easier. And frankly, if you're given an Excel workbook and you have the permission to go in and change settings, or to add a macro, you may want to do that just so that when you open up your spreadsheet, boom, the report that you want is there, and you don't have to, you know, go through a bunch of navigation to get there. But again, you may be working on a client, you may work on a dashboard system, business intelligence system, that a product that to just let you do that. So that's all that's going on here. This is the same thing basically we did in Excel. These are just, it's in a form, and then a macro is executed, and we'll click on that, and you'll see it takes us over to the add a customer form, and then you can add in a new customer if you care to do that. Here is add a new company, and in this you're back to that form where you can add that company to table 1, and then we'll click on produce a complete mailing list, and there's the mailing list of with everybody's addresses and all that stuff, and then exit the system. So, you know, you're in good shape as far as that goes. And I wanted to let you see it so you can kind of see a well-developed, I would call this a data mart. You know, it's so specific, and we're going to talk about that. And actually the Uber was really a couple of cases, and we're going to look at case 6. And I want to show you what we've got going on there. And here basically is just a table, and this has this is a dimension table, and because it has first name and last name, which are dimensions, i.e. columns, then music interest A. So they had divided people into their music interest A, their primary, and then a secondary interest in music title was called music interest B. And then they had the organization for whom those people worked. Okay. These were music reps. And this is just back from a long time ago when the music world was completely different. There was no TikTok, no Instagram, no YouTube, ways to promote music online. And I could say, you guys don't realize it, but you're living in the golden age of music, of popular and rock music, because you can go to YouTube and see stuff that videos from a lot of videos, particularly from the 1980s, that were there, that you can see them now. And I'd hear people talk about them, but where I lived, the cable provider didn't carry MTV, for example. So it's all out there now for everybody to see. But we've got this table, and then we have a second table called Uber B, and this is another dimension table. And what this is about is the organizations that are dealt with. So the table A dealt with sales people, dealt with the contact people at those companies. Table B dealt with the companies themselves and their address and all that type of thing. So some good stuff there for us to see. But so I also want to make sure that you understood, databases have two different types, really three different types of tables. They have what we call a pure dimension table, which is typically a lookup table. Then we have a fact table, which is just a list of things that happened, like this was sold, this was shipped out, this money was returned. So you have those. Those are also known as they're known as production tables, also known as fact tables, if you will. They become a production table and we talked about this the other day, when I have in a row, I have let's say a unit price, the number of units on hand. So all that I have to do is multiply those two things to find out how much dollar value of inventory I have for that particular item. And that's where it becomes it goes from being a fact table to a production table, where you can do mathematical operations primarily and create new measures. This is from and even later. This is from a later case, but in this one, what we did was we just put together a table that lists the contact people and the organization for whom they worked. So there were three tables for this case, and that's pretty much what you're going to see in any database. Okay, and most of you will be working in so-called production and working off of production and fact-based types of tables. You probably will never see the tables. You'll just have a data set that you can pull data from. You're going to have reports that are run every week or however that's handled. It just really does depend upon what you're doing. But the bottom line is, once you see this, then a lot of the stuff like how does sales communicate to purchasing, how does if we run a warehouse operation, how do we relate to our vendors who are an outbound, their freight department, etc. Okay. Now we got these three tables in this, and then we're going to take a look at some of these queries, and these are a little more advanced, and I'm going to show them to you in the design form. And now that what you've had, this should start to look familiar to you, and it should start to say, you should start to say to yourself, oh, okay, I get this. I get it. Now, in the design view, and this is the case in just about every commercial product, you're going to see an area like this, like a design view, where you'll see the tables that are used for the query. And here we're using the Uber A table, okay, and the Uber B. And I want to show you something. I'm going to click on this little line which shows the join between them, and we'll click on join properties, and you're going to see there's the names of the two tables and the fields, and the field is the org field, the organization field. And this includes only rows. So this is an inner join, okay? And you're going to notice the join is just what I call a neutral join. In other words, the tables are just linked. There is no, I think the organization table may be in table B, it may be the primary key. And we can take a look at that for just a minute. And well, I'm certain neither one of these are primary keys. The org may be, but I think there's an org ID up there, that you would be in, that you would draw, that would provide the primary key for those two tables. But we have those two tables, and then you can see we're going to get the organization, the first name, the last name, the first name and last name of the person who is our contact, then the full name of the organization, because we have an organization descriptor for them, and then their address, okay, and then the city they live in, the state, country. This is really all about how do I contact these people, and who are they, and who do they work for, okay? We'll go up to the data sheet view and take a look, okay? Same story there. And you can take a look and you can see in that data sheet view, we're good to go. And it's okay in the sense that it's a classic select statement. All right. And I want to take it down to the SQL view so you can see it. Okay. And if you take a look, it's okay. We're going to select, and then the syntax is the field and the table, and then the field we're getting it from. And so there's all the stuff we're going to select. And then it says, okay, where are you getting this stuff? And there it's from. And in BISS 3503, we do learn structured query language. And I'm just going to tell you now, it's easy stuff. It's easy. And it's just a matter of going through it and working with it enough times. So we'll go back up here to the data view, and we're going to do something here real quickly. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close that, but I'm going to click on the database tools, and I'm going to click object dependencies. Okay. And we're going to see that the query task number 1, there's the name of it, objects that depend on me. And what we're going to see is that there are 2 objects in this database that depend on query task 1, and they are the mailing labels and the marketing report. Okay. You may or may not have something like a relationship. You may or may not have an object dependencies feature in the BI dashboard that your company has where you'll go to work. I would be surprised. It's a security issue, okay? But this will let you see how you pull these obvious. Now, and it's obvious I don't have to do that, okay? I could just also come over here to the queries and boom, and then go into design view and I'll see the tables they were from, okay? So in this case, we used a couple of tables. Here's a task, and there's a task 2. And I think we were asked to, I think what they wanted us to do was to clean up this first table. And I'm going to go here to the design. I'm going to go down to the design view. I thought that when we did it, that we had used a lookup table, but I may be wrong. No, yes, we did. We did a lookup table for music interest B. Okay, and there's the query, and we've done that. We've done a couple of lookup tables. So basically, we used the music codes to get music interest B. Okay, and then there's music interest A, and that's also utilizes a lookup table. And then here is just this text. Now, I'm going to go back up to the datasheet view, and you're going to see, I'm going to smudge these out just a little bit. Okay. And there we are. And you can see when I do the drop down, you see how convenient this is, because I have types of music, and then I have a code for each one of those. Okay, so we could, if we wanted to, go in and on the lookup table reverse these, so just the code shows, but chose not to do that. And then over here on music interest B, there's another drop down menu, same story there. Okay. And then I don't think we did this with the organization, although we could have had drop down menu for that organization. Okay. So those are, you can see that how valuable the drop down menus are, just for the simple reason that you have the information and it's inputted exactly like you want it. Okay. And it can serve as a prompt. Now, we're going to go over here to into task. We didn't get the task 3 because they want us to do over here on the B. And here's table B, and we're going to go into the design view on it. And you could pretty much already be telling me, if I had a lookup table, what country codes would I have? Here's the states. And this is the state where I have a 2-state designator. I ought to really have, for the zip codes, the countries, the states, I should have a lookup table for them. So it's just simple. I click on it and that data is there. And then I get the city, which is, there's going to be too many of those to mess with. And then the type of organization, I should have a lookup for it. And then the organization code. And we'll open this back up at the data sheet view. And there we are. So this is about who do these people work for? Who are these companies who are our customers? Okay. And how do we contact them? What's their address? And, city, state, zip, etc. And then we had, of course, the table where we had identified, I think it's back over here in A. These are the musical interests of these people, but we wanted just the contact we've got. Yeah, there it is. And these are our contacts in these organizations. And I think I talked him into letting us know. They didn't. I couldn't talk him into doing another lookup menu, but you could see, now why I've got these different tables and how they function. And then as I begin to run the queries, you start to see that. Here's task 4A. Okay, and I'm going to open it up. And what we got here was their first name, their last name, and the organization they work for. And my hunch would be, if I go to the design view, we'll do this. We'll just go to design. Well, let's see. Is it going to let me do that? Oh, no, it's not. It's just going to show me the SQL. That's all right. But this is just going to be a little easier for you to pile into, but still, it's just 95% of all queries are select queries. We're going to select the name, or we're going to get the last name, and the first name, and the organization from Uber A. How do I know? It says from, and then I'm going to do what we call a union, and that is where we take everything, and you remember this from geometry, thought you'd escape, but you didn't. I take everything that's in set A and everything in set B, and I just combine them together. Now, in a database, when we do a union, it's important to understand that if there are any duplicate records, they get pitched, okay? So it'll keep one record, but the dupes are all gone. And typically you don't want duplicated records, i.e. duplicated rows, and you really shouldn't have them. And we've talked about that, and that all goes back to that business of the table design. And they're going to get these, they're going to get the name, first the last name, the first name, the organization from Uber C, and then they're going to order it by organization. So they're going to take Uber A, that table, and perform a union of table A and table C to produce the result set for this query. This is a very, very common thing, because the more specific you can make a table, the better off everybody will be. As when you then run a production or a fact table, or what I would call is a hybrid of those two. Okay. Now, that being said, they had another task for us, and this is task 4B. Okay. And we'll open it up, and here we've got their country and their last name, their first name, and we'll go to the design view, and that's what you've got, so that we know a list of everybody, and there are no criteria here, so we just did a straight query on that. So 4A, we'll open it up, was the contact people and then the company they work for. 4B had included the country and the full organization name. Okay, so those are the tables and how they're set up. A good table is like a paragraph. It has one main thought supported by many other thoughts. And so you could say, well, who are our customers and how do we reach them? That would be a table. How much stuff how many of these different items did we sell? That would be another table. And again, how those all get connected or related, we've looked at those kinds of things when we've looked at the relationships, the database tools, and then looked at the relationships. And it wouldn't be a bad idea for us to do that. And again, you're looking under the hood of this, and you're 99% of the time, you're not going to get a chance to do that. Here we see the relationships, and these are two that are hooked together. They are tied. Uber A and Uber B. Okay. And so it shows where they're tied up. The tie between them is the organization field. Well, we've done those, and then we had a kind of a tricky one, and I'm going to close the shutter for just a minute. And this is one where they ask us to get. This is one where they ask us to find out everybody who had all of these different people that work for these different record companies have, I think it was Hard Rock and Rap if I'm not mistaken. Let's go down to the design view and take a look. Ah, yeah, there it is. Now you'll look over here and what we have so far, pretty typical. Yeah, first name, last name, the address, the city. We got the two tables, they're linked so we can pull data from either table. And then we come to country and you'll notice something. This is USA is their criteria, or USA. So we want everybody in the USA whose interest is, and we've got music interest A and music interest B, and take a look at this for just a moment. I'll show you. We've got music interest A, which is going to be hard rock or hip hop. Okay. And then on the second criterion, we did a nested criterion here. We had under music interest B, notice it's on the second row. Okay. And that is hip hop or hard rock or hip hop. Okay. And the reason that we've got them like that is because we want to make sure that we get, if they have hard rock or hip hop is their primary musical interest, i.e. music interest A, we want that. If it's music interest B, then we've got that second level of the criteria. And in each of them, you'll notice that we've got, we've got the USA. Okay. And that's just primarily what we did so we could get that, run that. Now, we were a little bit lazy, and for that, I'll take responsibility. What I should have done was just suppress this country thing, had it in here, USA, suppressed it so it didn't just rattle out there, and that you would say USA customers or something like that. Okay. So you'd let the name of the object would reflect what's in the content of the object. So you don't have to have a field like this where this keeps showing up. USA. I'll just show you. Okay. And here are people that their music interest A, music interest B. Okay. And you can see the country, USA. And if you look, you'll see the logic. Let's take this first name, Ken, who had a music interest of A, and we checked to see, is his music interest hard rock or is it hip hop? One of those two, we want that. Okay. And they're in the United States. Good enough. Then we had music interest B, and you'll notice that that second person, Greg, okay, down here, Greg is his primary music interest is reggae and ska. His secondary interest, that is music interest B, is hip hop, and he's in the USA. Okay. That's a fairly complex, what we would call a nested query. And I'm going to take you down to the SQL view, and you can see that we're doing an inner join on those two fields, on those two tables. And we get where they all match. And then we had the criteria of their USA and the criteria of their music interest A, primary, is either hip hop or hard rock. Their secondary music interest, that would be music interest B, is either hard rock or hip hop. They're in the companies in the United States. Okay. So you can see it's a little more complex than some of the stuff we've run and worked with, but that's the report. That's the type of thing that gets generated, and that shows you why it's so important for us to tie these tables together and do so in an effective way. We've looked at the forms, and you can see we've got the main menu. It's kind of like a little junction box. Go here, there, go where. You've got a form to add to the company's table. You've got a form to add to the customer table. You're in good shape, and you've got those two tables covered now in terms of being able to input data to them in a reasonably easy manner that is using the form. Then some reports, okay, and these are the music interests by organization, and I clicked on it there, okay, and now I'm going to go to the database tools, and I'm going to look for the object dependencies, okay, and I'm going to see that the report, the customer interests by organization, there's nothing there that it supports. In other words, objects that depend on it. But when we look at the report, you can see 3 tables that are used to generate that report. Okay, you say, well, how are you able to do that? Well, 2 of those 3 are tied together. Okay, and so we can tie them together to run a report. And what's fairly typical is we do that and we get the reports and we're good. Or if you're working in a system it's not really fully developed, you're going to be working, you're going to pull stuff from the database, then you're put it in Excel and on and on. That's why you see these new products that are coming out now. Unfortunately, the school doesn't want to spend $500,000 to get you experience using all the state-of-the-art enterprise computing and business intelligence applications that are out there. Or they don't even want to pay the licensing. And look, it's expensive. Okay, those systems cost a lot of money. And you may have heard me talk about this before, but for example, like with the system that they use at Oracle, they have it's about a 400 to 450 page guide or handbook for running Oracle's retail ground-based system for companies that are, they're ground-based, and they're basically a cash and carry sale kind of type of organization. It's going to, a lot of that will depend upon the organization that you're in, etc. But those are the reports then, and I'll just pop them out. I'll take a look at them. Okay, not that big of a deal. Again, if I want to, I'll just click on that. Okay, and here I see the objects that I'm using. Now, the objects that I depend upon would be those 3 tables. Okay, and the bottom line is I can go over and just use the report wizard to get the report how I want it. Now, I'm going to close this and we're going to open up the report. Okay, and there it is. And these are look, this is, not really that great looking stuff. Commercial products produce stuff that looks far prettier, but you've got these customer music interests by organization. And so you can see the way this thing's been put together. It's grouped by companies, and those company groupings are in alphabetical order. And how do I know? Well, here's a header, and here's another, and here's another. This is everybody with Dara Records, and everybody with the Electra Asylum, EMI, etc. Okay, and again, this report was generated using the, the wizard, or you could just, you could use a report wizard to do this, or just the report design. So this was the 6th task to produce this thing, and then here's a full mailing list. Okay, well, it kind of is. It's everybody that works at those particular companies. And I don't know why we didn't go ahead and get the address and all that stuff. So let's do this. We're going to go down here in this. Oh, it's a report. So what we would need to do would be to run a new query that truly does give us mailing. There's the list to be mailed. But here's the mailing labels. And you can see And I know in 1103, we made labels, and we used that function where we pulled a database, a table out of Excel, and went in and like maybe customized letters to a whole bunch of people, that type of thing. And some of you may use that a lot. Some of you may not use it at all. Okay. It's just going to depend upon your situation. Then here's a marketing report. We'll open it up. And as you would guess, it's giving us, the last name of these people. There's some stuff missing here that we should have. And I think that's what, if I'm not mistaken, that's what I was thinking we needed to add in some stuff. And I'm going to click on the design view. Okay. And I'm going to click on add existing fields. And here you'll see where we could add the organization, the city. We've got the organization, so we could do the city, the state, and all that business. Okay. And we could get that thing accomplished there. So, the main thing I did want to do was to let you see how we mix and match tables that then set us up to run queries that get us data that's really truly information we can understand and we can make sense of. And look, here in any one of these, with this, for example, here with this Uber A, if I wanted to, I've got the toolbar above, and I could go in here and I can, on the organization, I can click that, and I'll click the filter. I can use the text filters, or I can deselect or select everybody that I want to get. So if I just want to get if I'm just interested in one of the American companies, I could select them. And but actually I could do these by state if I want to do it, if I've got some duplicates. I don't think I do that. Okay. Oh, we can toggle that off, and we're good to go. And I can, of course, come down here and I can use the summation. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get counts. See, because there's nothing there that I can't subtract, multiply, or divide. All I can do is just count those because they're categorical data. Over here, and again, this is using that toolbar here. If I want, I can narrow this down by country, so it's pretty simple. I just click on that, boom, and then I get all my Australian customers, and I can choose my USA customers, and there I am. And I'm not going to save that. We'll open it back up. So I can use the toolbar. We talked about that. Do it primarily to do filters, and to do some aggregate data, that is, i.e., adding, counting things, and that's primarily what you can do with the toolbar above here. Anything beyond that, you have to write an expression, and as you've seen, doing that can be a little bit problematic and tedious. And if you're dealing with a whole bunch of data, frankly, my feeling is do it in Excel, and then import it back into the database. And I want to show you that so you can understand. And I've been working on a thing for the graduate students with them, and I'm going to open this up, and let's see, I want to find a table, an Excel table. Oh, these are my screencasts. Sorry about that. Where did I put you guys? I think I might put them on I was on another machine, but basically, we'll open this. We'll take a look here for a minute. All right, I'm going to make a copy of the souvenir shop, copy it. You'll remember this from BISS 1103. And then I'm going to paste it here. I don't want to paste a shortcut. I just want to paste it. Boom. Okay, there we are. And now I'm ready to go over here, click external data. And a new data source is going to be from a file. It's called Excel. And we're going to go down and we're going to go to the desktop and we're going to find that celebrity souvenirs shop. Okay, there it is. And we're going to open this up and we're going to make a new table. And we're going to hit sheet number 1. And we can check these. I'll click finish. And there is our sheet number 1, i.e. the celebrities. And we'll go in and take a look at it, open it up. And sure it is. And what we're going to need to do now, folks, is I've imported this. And so I'm going to have to come in then and go into the design view and give a name to each of those fields for what it is. But I want to let you see that, and because I've done some exports of queries, and I wanted to show you the import process. There are really 2 ways that you do that import. One is you just import it and create a new table like we did here, or you can take a spreadsheet or something from another database where the structure is the same, meaning they have the same data types, the same number of columns, the names of the columns have this, they have the same name, and I can take it and import it. And I think maybe it's on the other machine, my other machine, but yeah, I'm sure, yeah, I do. We have basically, in the graduate class, they're learning to import and then fix the data tables up with the fields and the fields sync and all that stuff. I want to see what else that we've got here with this, and with add the company. I'm going to do one thing is I want to show you the main menu. And we're going to go down to the design view. Okay. And you're going to see that there is a, to add a new customer, there is a link, and we can build events. You can use the event builder to do that, or just simply build the link in to get that done. That's chapters 12 and 13 talk about those types of things. And I don't want to overstay our welcome, but just quickly so you can see as far as 12 and 13, chapter 12, I'm talking about like assigning passwords to a database. We talked about the database splitter, the performance analyzer, securing these for distributions, etc. I mean, they're just not all that. That's just really pretty irrelevant to you as a decision maker. Now, we're going to take a look here for just a moment, and we'll go back up to that, and we'll look at chapter 13. And 13 shows us how to work with it more efficiently, primarily with make sure that we have field sizes that are as small as possible, that we have things indexed, and that type of business customizing the ribbon. So you can get the ribbon set up, customized how you want it, how to add in options. Like I said, it's a short read. There's just not all that much there for you to deal with. Well, I'll tell you what, let's talk for a moment about what's due this week. Okay. Access case number 5 was due, and you can upload 1 or 2 files. You could either upload ACCDB 5.1 done, ABCDB done 5, and then in Garden 3. For Access database case 6, you can upload, or on 5, you could do both of those databases and upload them. On Access database case 6, you can upload the ACCDB done 6 and Garden 12 and Garden 13. I don't care as long as one of those or all or more than one of those is uploaded for case 6. What I do care about is the comments. Okay. That's what I'm looking at right now. You can just upload these files, but I'm looking to see your comments, to see the depth of your knowledge, what you're kind of gaining. And I get a few of you people just write, something very cursory. I've had others who put some great detail and thought into it, and I'm appreciative and I'm happy for you, because you're proving to me that you can master this stuff pretty easy. I mean, it's just not that hard to do. So you had 5 and 6 that were due this week. We'll look at the modules. Now we're still kind of living in the aftermath of the tornado, and I'm certain that all of you, if you've not, you need to go. You should have gotten an email from the president's office where he talks about the fact that we will be back to ground-based operations on Monday. So some of you should be planning to move back into the dorms tomorrow. I think that's when they're going to have a move-in kind of thing at 10 a.m. as they get the campus ready for us to return. And if you have special circumstances, you're going to really need to go to Dr. Houghton, and then he'll have to go upstairs to get something approved. So we'll go back to ground-based, which we've been doing. Other than that, I've told you what we need to turn in for Access database cases 5 and 6. I do want to come down here now. This is week 13, so I've explained what we've done. So now we're into week 14, and you'll notice this says no class, flex time. Work on week 14 in the final. Okay. We will have class. There will be no class sessions. Okay. I'll be online. I'll be available. I may just set up a Zoom thing. So if somebody wants to talk to me, you have a question, I can do it. But I'm not going to be doing any lectures, nothing. Okay. Those 2.5 hours are there for you to work on the stuff for week 14 and your final. Okay. And then same thing with week 15. Okay. There's no flex time. You work on the final. Okay. And there are the things that are due that I want you to get done. And then we get to the finals. I always get these questions. Do I have to be present at the final? No. Does your work have to be completed and submitted before the end of the final? Yes. Some of these things are going to be things that are due at the start of the final exam period. And then there's some of them will be due at the end of the final exam period. And you're going to find I have some hands-on types of things that I have you to do. You need to carefully read these instructions and take a look at them to get them done. Don't come in here and just think in 2 hours you can do all this stuff, because I'm going to tell you it isn't going to happen. So use weeks 14 and 15 to be working on your final and on those assignments due those weeks 14 and 15. That'll do it, everybody. let me pop up here and I'm going to see if we've got anybody that has any questions about what's going on. And I tell you what, I guess I'm going to have to send everybody an email and say, look, this is a ground-based course. Although I record these lectures and they're there for your convenience, that does not absolve you from being in class. So if you know somebody and they're not coming, you need to talk to them and tell them. All right. I count attendance on, do you turn in your homework? Okay. But as I look at these comments, what I see increasingly is there's a core of you who are really engaged, another core, I don't know what you're doing. But you need these skill sets. And I don't know how else to do it except show you, walk through it, practice, give you the experience, let you reflect on it. That's typically how you learn these kinds of skills. So when I'm looking here today and I'm seeing, 7 out of 32 of us, I'm not happy. Okay. And if it means that I'm going to have to take a roll physically and have you sign in, if I'm going to have to waste 10 or 15 minutes of your class time for that kind of junior high, middle school, elementary school stuff, okay, then if you're not here, you're going to get penalized. You'll get penalized in the long run because you'll miss being able to ask a question or miss something that we're going to be doing. And that there's nothing I hate worse than somebody who sends me an email with an hour before something's due and says, I don't understand what to do, when I was here and I explained it. Okay. And look, I've said at the start of the class, I've said it consistently, this is a ground-based class. It is web supported. Yes, I have stuff on the web, but it doesn't absolve you from being here. Now, if you're an athlete and you're competing, that's one thing. If you're not, or you're not competing and you're not having to go out of town, you need to be in class. And that's all there is to it. And like I said, if I got to take 15 minutes of a class session, 10 to 15 minutes class session, and I'm taking 30 minutes a week away from you that you pay for instruction. Okay. So I'm really trying to save you, let you have the maximum amount of time, or if necessary, give you some time like I want to do now to give you 10 extra minutes to do some things. Okay, folks, that'll do it. God bless you. I look forward to seeing everybody back on campus. And, again, I look forward to seeing your work, and I'll be getting your things here, and I'll be doing the grading. And then remember, we'll be on flex time next week. God bless you and take care, and look forward to seeing you back.